For years, people everywhere wondered what really went down between Harry and Meghan in their marriage. Rumors popped up and disappeared. News stories came and went. But the whole time, Harry kept quiet, stayed loyal, and didn't say a word about the woman he gave up being a prince for. Until now. Because people close to Harry say he's finally starting to talk about what really happened in their Montecito home. And what he's saying isn't just sad, it's really messed up. This isn't about small drama or gossip. This is the real story. The stuff he never thought he'd have to tell anyone, the betrayals he never imagined would come from the person he thought he could trust completely. And when you hear what Meghan supposedly did to him, how deep the manipulation went, how personal the embarrassment got, you'll get why people say this breakup isn't just a normal split. It's a total disaster. A slow burn explosion. A private war fought with secrets sharp enough to hurt a prince. This is the truth Harry's been holding on to, and it's worse than anyone thought. Now, let's start with the moment when everything broke apart. The leak that made Harry finally speak up. It started with a whisper, not a scandal about charity work, family drama, or royal duties. No, this one hit where it really hurt. A leak so personal, so embarrassing that even experienced royal reporters paused when the news came out. Radar Online didn't just randomly know one day what exact medication Prince Harry kept in his bathroom. That kind of detail comes from inside the house, from someone who knows what your shampoo smells like and what your daily routine looks like. And sources said that someone was Meghan Markle. The second the world saw it, finasteride, minoxidil, the side effects, everyone stopped. These weren't just hair loss medications. These were the types of meds rumored to cause problems no guy once made public. Mood changes, emotional ups and downs, and according to insiders, bedroom issues that hit exactly where a man's pride is. Harry's private medical stuff became a joke on the internet overnight. And it wasn't just an accidental leak. The way it was written was gentle, almost sweet. Friends worried, hints about Harry changing, subtle suggestions that the romance had disappeared because of him. But underneath that niceness was a knife. Meghan didn't just share his insecurity. She shaped it, wrapped it up, and gave it to the world like a headline ready to blow up. For Harry, it was a war before he even knew the first attack had happened. Once the leak hit the news, the pattern showed itself fast. This wasn't about medication. It wasn't even about hair. It was about control, the kind Meghan had always understood better than anyone else in Harry's life. This was the person who had created an entire public image based on storytelling, perfect timing, and careful planning. Every step of her climb from Hollywood actress to Duchess had been built with an incredible sense of how the public sees things. So when the marriage started falling apart, she didn't yell. She didn't argue. She changed where the spotlight pointed. Sources say she started setting things up way before Harry figured it out. She never said, "I'm leaving." Instead, she quietly told friends that something was wrong with him, that he was distant, different, not the man she married. Little pieces that when put together painted a picture of a wife heartbroken by a husband who had somehow let her down, and the news stories followed that exact script. Meghan looked calm, classy, misunderstood. Harry became the one who was weak, fragile, and breaking under stress. It didn't matter what was actually true. What mattered was who told the story first. Behind closed doors, Harry wasn't just losing his marriage. He was losing control of his own life story. The same woman who once kept his secrets close was now supposedly using them as weapons. And each thing that came out reminded him that privacy in her hands wasn't closeness. It was power. Way before the leak, before the headlines, before the quiet war started, their home had already changed. What the world thought was a fairy tale escape to California had turned into a quiet war zone. Sources close to the couple say that after their second child, everything went ice cold. Not dramatic, not loud, just cold. The kind of cold that settles into a house like morning fog. The passion that once lit up their public appearances disappeared behind their gates. Date nights stopped happening. Late night laughing stopped completely. The couple that once looked inseparable now moved like co-workers sharing an expensive workspace, connected only by daily routines and responsibilities. Meghan threw herself into image projects, anything that kept her in charge of how she looked to the outside world. Harry threw himself into just surviving, holding on to hope that the warmth he once felt might come back. But it didn't. Insiders say he felt rejected way before any leaks hit the news. And Meghan, she felt bored. The spark that had powered their quick romance was gone. And instead of trying to fix what was breaking, she supposedly started planning her way out quietly, carefully, the same way she planned everything else. Because in Meghan's world, she doesn't get left. She leaves. And Harry, not knowing about the storm building behind him, kept trying to hold together a marriage that had already started crumbling from the inside. When people think back on this breakup, they'll talk about the leaks, the rumors, the humiliation. But the truth is the fall didn't happen in one big explosion. It happened in steps, quiet, planned, and years in the making. And once you lay out those steps, the whole story becomes uncomfortably obvious. Stage 1. The wedding. A worldwide show wrapped in songs and jewels. The palace held its breath. The world fell in love. And Meghan stepped into the royal spotlight with the confidence of someone who already knew where the cameras would be. Behind the fairy tale smile, sources say she was already thinking about what's next. Opportunities, partnerships, the long-term brand value of becoming a duchess. Stage 2. The honeymoon. Fast, glamorous, but with a coldness just under the surface. Meghan supposedly told friends Harry was clingy, too emotional, too attached. Harry believed he'd finally found someone who saw the man beyond the royal title. But what he didn't realize was that she saw the title just fine. Stage 3. After the children. This is where everything changed. Once the second baby came, the house fell into an uncomfortable silence. Harry tried to hang on, but the warmth wasn't coming back. Meghan focused on carefully planned projects and public-facing work. Harry felt rejected, pushed aside, and more unsure where he fit into her future plans. Stage 4. The hair saga. This is when the leaks start. Small at first, then sharper. Private details making their way into tabloids, each one breaking down Harry's sense of safety. For him, it was a betrayal. For her, sources claim it was strategy. Stage 5. The videos. Not a divorce filing, not a public announcement, just quiet, calculated pressure. Meghan supposedly showing clips to certain friends. Harry passed out. Harry partying. Harry at his worst. Each moment a reminder that she held the stronger hand. By the time the medication story hit the news, the collapse wasn't just starting. It was already done. If the medication leak hurt Harry publicly, the supposed video collection destroyed him privately. This is the part of the story insiders whisper about with quiet voices because it changes the mood from marriage problems to something darker, something way more planned. According to multiple sources, Meghan didn't just keep text messages or emails. She kept videos, clips recorded during their most personal moments. Some innocent, others really compromising. Harry passed out after nights he'd rather forget. Harry stumbling through a party. Harry possibly using drugs during times when the world thought he was getting better, not falling apart. Even intimate videos that were never supposed to be seen by anyone but them. And the most creepy detail, word is she showed some of these clips to friends. Not to ask for help, not to get support, but to prove a point. It wasn't yelling. It wasn't threats. It was a quiet power move. The kind of thing that reminds someone exactly how much of their life is in your control. A private collection of a prince's worst moments, sitting in the phone of a woman planning her exit. For Harry, this wasn't just leverage. It was a ticking clock. Sources say he started living in fear of what might come out next. Every fight, every cold moment in the house, every icy look came with the knowledge that at any second one more clip could hit the press. And the worst part, he had no clue how many there were. Only after the relationship breaks apart, the leaks, the video collection, the humiliation, only then does the most explosive claim surface. And it doesn't show up at the beginning of the story for a reason. This was a whisper that came out late in the game, quietly, carefully, the kind of rumor insiders treat like a lit match in a dry forest. Sources claim that Meghan never carried the children herself. According to one supposed insider, a medical professional even confirmed the use of surrogates. And while the story provides no deeper details, the meaning alone was huge. Because in Britain, family bloodlines aren't gossip. They're law, their identity, their history. If true and even whispered as possible, this would be a royal-level crisis. Questions the palace never wanted asked. Doubts about tradition, legitimacy, and the honesty of a woman who had built her public image on being open and healing. For Meghan, it was another story she could spin. Privacy, health, trauma, protection. But for Harry, sources say it left him shaken. A man who once promised to give his children the childhood he lost, now dealing with the possibility that parts of his own story had been hidden from him. It was the final rumor in a long line of breaks. One that didn't just shake their marriage. It shook the foundations of Harry's reality. This is where the entire story comes full circle. Because at its heart, this wasn't the story of a prince betrayed or a duchess escaping. It was the story of two people living two completely different truths until the space between them became a canyon neither could cross. Imagine Harry now, a man who once walked away from the crown for love, believing he had finally found freedom. A man who traded castles for California sunshine, royal titles for peace, strict rules for passion. And yet he stands here stripped of the exact things he thought he protected: his privacy, his dignity, his marriage, his sense of self. Every secret he shared became a headline. Every weakness became a weapon. Every private moment became a rumor waiting to be released. And Meghan, poised, polished, already moving forward. Her leaks, her evidence, her carefully crafted comeback, each one a trophy from a story she controlled from start to finish. Because in this version of events, she didn't fight to stay. She fought to win. And when she said, "I do" at the altar, sources say she wasn't promising forever. She was promising victory. The prince who ran from the throne to build a new life watched that life fall apart beneath him. And the duchess who once stood beside him walked away untouched, head held high, story secure. In the end, this wasn't a love story. It was a lesson in power, in control, in the unspoken truth that the person who tells the story owns the story. And Harry, he now knows that even without a crown, some people are still born into a battle they never saw coming.